Good morning. It's Tuesday. It's the 28th. We are almost at the end of April. What's that old saying? April showers bring flowers. Doesn't seem like there's been a whole lot of rain in April. Does that mean there's not going to be a whole lot of flowers? I don't know how that works. Anyway, our devotion this morning was on ordinary people and how God uses imperfect and ordinary people. Now, I think I've told you this before, so it shouldn't come as a big shock when I say it again, but I'm not perfect. It's out there. In fact, I am far, far from perfect. In fact, sometimes I really still have a hard job comprehending how God really loves me. I know that He does, but it blows my mind how God can love people that are sinful and imperfect like me. And especially when I mess up and I fail and I make bad decisions, but I know that He loves me. And actually, there's nobody that's perfect, and that comes as no surprise to you either. But God loves imperfect people. I mean, John 3:16 says that He sent His only begotten Son to die for us. And in Romans 5:8 it says that while we are yet sinners, He died for us. So God knows there's no perfect people, but He loves imperfect people. We all fail, and God's love is way bigger than any possible failure that we could have or any mistakes that we could possibly make. He loves the imperfect people. Everyone knows that their spouse is not perfect, and neither are you. Our kids are not perfect. Our grandkids are not perfect. Our great-grandkids, our siblings, no one's perfect. And yet we still are able to love them. So it shouldn't come as a great surprise to us that if we have the ability to love imperfect people, that God loves imperfect people even more than we do. Now, I gave you just a brief part of my story last Friday when I shared the story of the two Michael Fergusons. And during that period of time, I was truly on a path to utter destruction. There were times during that period where I seriously had a fear that if I died, that I was not going to heaven. And also during that period, I completely felt incapable of giving love. I couldn't receive love. But in the midst of all that stuff, in the midst of all that mess, God had a plan for me. And if you had told me 20 years ago that I would be in ministry today, let alone being a care pastor at our church, I would have laughed out loud. I would have laughed in your face if you had have told me that. But I know now. I know God has always loved me. I know that in spite of all my shortcomings and failures, that He had a plan for me. He had a plan to use me. Now, every day, I am truly humbled that God chooses to use me. I'm just an ordinary guy. There's nothing special about me, and He chooses to use me because I am a guy that's willing to be used by Him. And what God has for me to do, it's no more important than the job He has for you to do. We are a body, and every member of the body is important and has a job to do. And one job is not any more important than another job. You and I are both ordinary people, but yet we're very, very special people to Abba. Every day I encourage you to look for an opportunity to be used by your Father. And when you look for those opportunities, He will present them. So be ready. I'll talk to you tomorrow.